still, who is, I don't remember, to look it back up. Daryl Smith, and he got an invite. All right. I just sent him an email to see, here he comes. He was right on it. Kind of. All right. Are we all ready to go?
I am. Judge, can you hear me?
Yep.
Apologize for being late. I thought this was in person and I was at the courtroom.
Uh-huh.
I'm out in the hall.
Okay. Are you ready to go?
Yes.
All right. Then let's be on the record in case number 2020-CR599, captioned State of Kansas versus Lennon Hinds. Would the parties announce their appearances, please?
State appears by Daryl Smith.
May it please the court, Mr. Hinds appears in person and by counsel Chad Gardner.
All right. We are here set down today for a sentencing. The record should reflect that back on February 9th, we all appeared by Zoom again. At that time, the defendant changed his plea from one of not guilty to guilty. I inquired and accepted that, ordered a pre-sentence investigation, and set it for sentencing today. I've received that pre-sentence investigation. The critical findings are as follows. The primary offense of conviction is one of attempted aggravated arson. That is a severity level 5 person felony. The defendant's criminal history score was found to be that of I, as in Isaac. That would leave him in a border box with a presumed underlying range of 31, 32, or 34 months. If he has to do that time, he'll be eligible for 15% good time credit and subject to post-release supervision of 24 months. If he's granted probation today, it would be for a period of 36 months to community corrections. The second count of conviction is one of criminal threat. That's a severity level 9 person felony. Again, defendant's criminal history score is I. That would also leave him in a border box for this with a underlying range of 5, 6, or 7 months. The same 15% good time credit, 24 months of post-release, and 36 months of probation. I would ask you first, Mr. Smith, did you have an opportunity to review the PSI? Any additions, corrections, or challenges?
I did have an opportunity to review it, Your Honor. We anticipated that he would be a criminal history I have no additions or corrections.
I think we actually anticipated an H, but it's a good thing he turned out to be an I, even better. So, Mr. Gardner, same question. Any additions, corrections, or challenges to those findings?
No, Judge, I have reviewed the PSI report and spoken with Mr. Hinds, explained it, what came back with it, and we have no objections or corrections.
All right. Therefore, I will adopt the findings of the PSI for today's hearing, and I would hear your comments, Mr. Smith, touching upon sentencing.
Judge, I really have nothing beyond the plea negotiations, except I believe there was a letter attached to the pre-sentence report from Mr. Hinds, the victim in this matter. I'd ask if the court has had a chance to review that.
I have reviewed it, and I read everything that Ishmael had to say. I was looking to see whether there was a request for restitution or not. It wasn't in the victim impact statement. Do you have any information about that?
Judge, I don't. I think we made inquiry from from our victim witness people, and I think that damage was actually marital property. I don't have any information beyond that. And Chief Stark's estimate.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Gardner, comments upon sentencing.
Well, Judge, just first on the issue of restitution, I think even the victim's impact statement, he actually says, I don't want to ask for restitution. I don't know that, in this case, it's necessary. Mr. Hinds, the defendant in this case, has a history of untreated mental illness. Since this incident, he's been undergoing treatment. He's abided by all conditions of his pretrial release. His diagnosis and his medication has greatly impacted his disposition, his amenability to supervision. And I think he is a good candidate for probation, granted that he continues his mental health treatment. And I know Mr. Hinds intends to do that. I think, he's at a critical point of he's 24 years old. The issues that if he doesn't get in front of them are going to hamper him for the rest of his life. He's gainfully employed with his father's business right now. He's doing the things. He's staying away from the victim. I know that the victim's impact statement talks a little bit about reconciling and getting back together, but I think my client's initiative in this case is to work on himself. I think they're in the process of getting the divorce. He's going to live with his family and really work on his mental health. And I think that based on his lack of criminal history, this incident obviously is serious, but I think he's taken it seriously, and I think he's doing the right things. And I think I'd like to continue him on that treatment, continue him on that medication, because I think he can be a viable member of society. He can get those things under control. And I think the other issues that we would normally encounter in a criminal case like this can be fully addressed with supervision. And I think a period of 3 years of supervision obviously keeps all this stuff, make sure he has that carrot and the stick approach. And I would ask the court to grant him probation in this case.
Thank you. Mr. Hinds, now is your opportunity to tell me anything you want me to know in mitigation of your sentence today.
Yes, I would like probation. That's all.
All right, thank you. All right. Well, look, Mr. Hinds, I kind of get from the fact that you don't have any criminal history before this, and the way that this thing kind of boiled up, it seems like, your mental health treatment kind of got away from you there for a while. I don't think this is an indication of this is the kind of guy that Lennon is. But what you need to make sure that you understand is you've now felt kind of the consequences of what happens if you don't carefully maintain your mental health treatment, okay? So I think the guy I have in front of me right now, I don't have any concerns about him doing anything criminal or hurting anybody or anything like that. I'm just not sure that if you fall off your treatment and medications again, that I'll be able to say that, okay? So you need to make sure that as part of this probation, that you are maintaining your mental health treatment and following all the recommendations of your provider, okay?
Yes.
All right. Therefore, I am going to find that the border box criteria for probation apply to this defendant. I believe that there are treatment facilities and programs that are available, and he is able to take advantage of those, that they serve community safety and defendant reformation better than a prison sanction. Therefore, I am going to sentence the defendant as to count 1, the attempted aggravated arson, to the standard range of 32 months. If he has to do that time, he'll be eligible for 15% good time credit and subject to post-release supervision of 24 months. As to count 2, he'll be sentenced for that criminal threat, a severity level 9 person felony, to the standard range of 6 months. The same 15% good time credit and 24 months of post-release supervision apply. That sentence is ordered to run concurrently with the sentence in count 1. Given my findings as to the border box, I do consider probation in this case, and it is granted to community corrections for a period of 36 months. A specific term of that probation be that Mr. Hinds follow his mental health treatment and all recommendations of his provider. All right. So it sounds like you're working for your dad, Mr. Hinds. Do you have any children or anything that you're responsible for?
No, I have no children.
All right. Well, if I set this, look, I think I can give you as low as $50 a month and you'll still have it paid off well before your probation ends. If I ordered you to pay $50 a month towards your costs and fees, you think that's something you could do?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to assess the court cost, the supervision fee. There is no attorney fee as Mr. Gardner's retained. He has to pay the KBI database fee as he's not in there with any prior felonies. There is no request for restitution or fine, and none will be forthcoming. I will order that he pay $50 a month towards those costs and fees. All right. So, Mr. Hinds, a couple of things I have to advise you of. You have 14 days from today to appeal anything you don't like about your sentence. You may also be able to seek expungement of this sentence after a period of time following successful completion of probation. I would urge you to consider that and speak with Mr. Gardner about when you might be eligible for expungement, and when that time frame comes, you can reconnect with him and maybe get that done, get this off your record, okay?
Yes.
All right, as a convicted felon, it's prohibited for you to own or possess a firearm and certain kind of deadly cutting instruments like darts, daggers, switchblades, basically knives that could be considered deadly weapons. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Smith, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I saw in the PSI, this is not a registrable offense, is that correct?
I do not believe it is, Judge.
Yeah, I think that's correct. So there's no requirement as to that. All right, with that, Mr. Smith, anything jail time credit, what do you know about that?
Judge, I believe it's 21 days.
Does that sound right, Mr. Gardner?
That does, Judge. I think it took about that long to get in front of the hearing and get a bond reduction. So yeah, I believe that's correct.
All right, he'll be granted that jail time credit. Anything else I failed to cover today, Mr. Smith?
Judge, I know the court said follow all recommendations with respect to mental health treatment, but inherent in that, I usually ask that the court specifically remind the defendant that includes taking any prescribed medication.
Yeah, that would, I guess that's more of a specific, but certainly whatever medicine is prescribed by his provider, it also presumes the recommendation that he take that regularly. So sure, I'll say that if prescribed medication, Mr. Hinds is to take that as prescribed. All right, so here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to stop the live stream so that I can give Mr.